Oh, got it.
Okay, little introduction for whoever might watch this later on the video. We are going to be primarily working on the second half of Canto 6. And the procedure roughly is we're going to read the entire Canto 6. This is in the Inferno. Read the entire Canto 6 in Italian, then the entire Canto in English. And then we're going to go to the middle of Canto 6 and read small sections and talk about what the sections mean and additional information, et cetera, et cetera. All right, that being said, let me go to here. And, oh, can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. All right. Forgot to attach my microphone. Okay. Canto 6. All right. Dacia, are you ready?
I have to start.
Yes, you would start and
To what line?
we're going to do the entire Canto 6 in Italian. So you'd start at the first line, Al tornare dei lamenti.
See, to what line? What?
One. First line.
Yes, but to where? To line
To the very
100.
end.
Huh?
To the end. You
To
read,
the end.
you'll probably read to line 40 or so, and then John will probably read to line
Okay,
80.
okay, that's okay. Thank you. Now start.
Mhm.
Al tornar della mente che si chiuse dinanzi alla pietà di due cognati che di tristizia tutto mi confuse, nuovi tormenti e nuovi tormentati mi veggio intorno come che io mi muova e che io mi volga e come che io guatti. Io sono al terzo cerchio della piova eterna, maledetta, fredda e greve, regola e qualità mai non le è nuova. Grandine grossa, acqua, tinta e neve, per l'aere tenebroso si riversa, tutta la terra che questo riceve. Cerbero, fiera, crudele e diversa, con tre gole caninamente latra, sovra la gente che vivi è sommersa. Gli occhi a vermigli, la barba unta e atra, e il ventre largo, e unghiate le mani, graffia di spiriti ed iscoglia ed isquatra. Urlar li fa la pioggia come cani, di un dei lati fanno e l'altro schermo volgonsi spesso i miseri profani. Quando ci scorse Cerbero il gran vermo, le bocche aperse e mostroci le sane, non avea membro che tenesse fermo. E Duca mio distese le sue spane, prese la terra e con piene le pugna la ghittò dentro le bramose canne. Quale cane che abbaiando agogna il serrachetta, poi che il pasto morde, chi solo e divorarlo intente e pugna. Cotai si fecer quello face lorde, che lo demonio Cerbero, che introna e l'anime sì che esser vorreber sorde. Noi passavam su per l'ombre che adonna la greve pioggia e ponavam le piante sovra lor vanità che par persona e le giassen per terra tutte quante, fuor d'una che a seder si levò ratto, che ella si vide passarsi davanti. E tu, che sei per questo inferno tratto, mi dissi, riconosci, si sai, tu fosti prima che io disfatto fatto, e io a lui. L'angoscia che tu hai forse ti tira fuori della mia mente, che sì che non per chi te vedessi mai. Ma dimmi, chi tu sei che non si dolente, loco si messo e hai si fatta pena, che se l'altra è maggio, nulla è si spiacente. Next.
Ed egli a me, la tua città che è piena, d'invidia sì che già trabocco il sacco, se mi tiene in la vita serena. Voi cittadini mi chiamaste sciacco, per la dannosa colpa della gola. Come tu vedi, alla pioggia mi fiacco. E io, anima triste, non son sola, di tutte queste a simil pena stanno, per simil colpa, e più non fe parola. Io li riscuosi, sciacco, il tuo affanno, mi pesa sì che lagrimar m'invita. Ma dimmi, se tu sai a che verranno i cittadini della città partita, s'alcun ve giusto, e dimmi la cagione, perché la tanta discordia salita. E quelli a me, dopo lunga tensione, verranno al sangue, e la parte selvaggia caccerà l'altra con molta afflizione. Next, please.
Okay, Jesse, once again.
Ok. Poi appresso convien che questa caggia entre tre soli e quell'altra sormonti con la forza di tal che teste piaggia. Altre terrà lungo tempo le fronti, tenendo l'altra sotto gravi pesi, come che di ciò pionga e che naunti. Giusti son due e non vi sono intesi. Superbia, invidia e avarizia sono le tre faville che l'hanno i cuori accesi. Chi può se fine al lacrimabil suono e io a lui. Ancor vo che mi insegni e chi di più parlar mi facci donna. Marinata e teghiaio che forsi degni Jacopo Rusticucci, Arigo e Mosca, e lì altri che a ben far poser gli ingegni. Dime ove sono e fa che io li conosca, che gran disio mi stringe di sapere se il ciel li addolcia e lo inferno li atrosca, e quelli. Ei son tra le anime più nere, diverse colpe giù li grava il fondo, si tanto ascedi, là i potrai vedere. Ma quando tu sarai nel dolce mondo, piegoti che alla mente altrui mi rechi, poi non ti dico e più non ti rispondo. Le diritti occhi torsi allora in biechi, guardandomi un poco e poi chinò la testa, cade con essa e par de lì altri ciechi. E il duca disse a me, più non si desta de qua dal suon dell'angelica tromba, quando verrà la nemica podestà. Ciascun rivederà la trista tomba, ripiglierà sua carne e sua figura, udirà quel che in eterno rimbomba. next, or keep going?
Sì, trampassammo persona mistura dell'ombre e la pioggia passalente, toccando un poco la vita futura, perché io disse, maestro, este tormente che quieran el dopo la gran sentenza, o fier minore, o sara si cocente. Ed egli a me, ritorno a tua scienza, che vuol, quanto la cosa è più perfetta, più senta il bene, e così la doglienza. Tutto che questa gente maledetta, in vera perfezione, gia mai non vada, di la più che di qua essere aspetta. Noi anghiramo a tondo quella strada, parlando, cui assai chi son ridico, venimo al punto dove si digrada. Qui vi trovamo Pluto, il gran nemico. Once again, I'm taken by surprise at how short that is. All right, so let's go to the translation. Okay. At the return of consciousness that closed before the pity of those two relations, which utterly with sadness had confused me, new torments I behold, and new tormented around me, whichsoever way I move and whichsoever way I turn and gaze. In the third circle am I of the rain, eternal, maledicting, cold, and heavy. Its law and quality are never new. Huge hail and water, somber hued, and snow, athwart the tenebrous air, pour down amain. Noisome the earth is that receiveth this. Cheverus, monster, cruel and uncouth, with his three gullets, like a dog is barking over the people that are there submerged. Red eyes he has, an unctuous beard, and black, and belly large, and armed with claws his hands, he rends the spirits, flays, and quarters them. Next, please.
Howl the rain maketh them like unto dogs. One side they make a shelter for the other, oft turn themselves the wretched reprobates. When Cerberus perceived us, the great worm, his mouth he opened and displayed his tusks. Not a limb had he that was motionless. And my conductor, with his spans extended, took of the earth, and with his fist well filled, he threw it into those rapier gullets. Such as that dog is, who by barking craves, and quiet grows soon as his food he knows. For to devour it he but thinks and struggles. The like became those muzzles, filled to be grinned, of Cerberus the demon, who so thunders over the souls that they would fain be dead. We passed across the shadows which subdues the heavy rainstorm, and we placed our feet upon their vanity that person seeps. Next, please.
They all were lying prone upon the earth, excepting one who sat upright as soon as he beheld us passing on before him. O thou that art conducted through this hell, he said to me, recall me if thou canst. Thyself wast made before I was unmade. And I to him, the anguish which thou hast perhaps doth draw thee out of my remembrance, so that it seems not that I have ever seen thee. But tell me who thou art, that in so doleful a place are put, and in such punishment. If some are greater, none is so displeasing. Next.
And he to me, thy city which is full of envy, so that now the sack runs over, held me within it, in the life serene. You citizens were wont to call me Chaco, for the pernicious sin of gluttony. I, as thou seest, am battered by this rain. And I, sad soul, am not the only one, for all these suffer thee like penalty, for thee like sin, and word no more spake he. Next, please.
Giaco, I said to him, your grievous state weighs down on me. It makes me want to weep. But tell me what will happen if you know to the city, to the citizens of that divided state. And are there any honest men among them? And tell me, why is it so plagued with strife? And he replied, after much contention, they will come to bloodshed. The rustic party will drive the other out by brutal means. And then it will come to pass, this side will fall within 3 suns, and the other rise to power with the help of one, now listing towards both sides. Next, please.
And these will lord it long with arrogant eyes, crushing their foes with heavy loads indeed, for all their bitter shame and outraged cries. 2 righteous men there are, whom none will heed, 3 sparks from hell, avarice, envy, pride. In all men's bosoms sowed the fiery seed. His boding speech thus ended, so I cried, speak on, I beg thee, more, much more reveal. Takeo, Farinata, how betide these worthy men, and Ruskachutsi's zeal, Arrigo, Mosca, and all the rest as well, whose minds were set on the public weal. Where are they? Can I find them? Prithee tell, I'm consumed with my desire to know. Feasting in heaven, or poisoned here in hell? Next, please.
I've lost my place, and please go on.
85.
Okay, thank you. I'm at Dartmouth. Okay, 85. And they are among the blacker souls. A different sin down weighs them to the bottom. If thou so far descendest, thou can catch them. But when thou art again in the sweet world, I pray thee to the mind of others bring me. No more I tell thee, and no more I answer. Then his straightforward eyes he turned askance, eyed me a little, and then bowed his head. He fell therewith prone like the other blind. And the guide said to me, he wakes no more. This side the sound of the angelic trumpet, when shall approach the hostile potentate. Each one shall find again his dismal tomb, shall reassume his flesh and his own figure, shall hear what through eternity re-echoes. Next.
So we passed onward o'er the filthy mixture of shadows and of rain, with footsteps slow, touching a little on the future life. Wherefore I said, Master, these torments here, will they increase after the mighty sentence, or lesser be, or will they be as burning? And he said to me, return unto thy science, which wills that as the thing more perfect is, the more it feels of pleasure and of pain. Next, please.
Bem, albeit that these people maledict to true perfection never can attain. Hereafter, more than now, they look to be round in a circle by that road we went, speaking much more, which I do not repeat. We came unto the point where the sand is. There we found Plutus, the great enemy.
Mhm. Plutus, the great enemy. All right. So I think we're back around, we started 73, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, that's where I'll start. I'll just read a little bit. Let's see.
Do we know about 68 by force of him who now is on the coast? 69, I guess.
69? I'm sorry. Help me
By
out.
force of him who now is on the coast.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, Sheila. Give me the line. Give me the
It's
line again.
69.
69.
No,
69. By
that,
force of him who now is on the coast. Am I looking
no,
at the wrong chapter?
you've got the wrong canto, I think.
No, I think
No.
she's wanting
She's
an
right.
identification. I think she wants to know who he is.
Yeah, that's what she wants. Who
Oh,
is?
line 69. Okay. Mhm. Sorry.
Mhm.
I've got the Sayers edition, Dee Dee, and the Sayers edition says the blacks returned on November 1301 with the help of Boniface VIII, the sitter on the fence of line 69.
Okay.
That, that's
Oh,
what
yes.
that's what
Yes.
my notes are offering at any
Yeah.
rate.
That was his
Yeah.
ruse. He pretended he was on both sides.
There's a note in Longfellow's note. Pope Boniface VIII was made acquainted with the state of this ravaged and unhappy city, sent Cardinal Aquasparta to reform and pacify the parties. He was unable to, and he declared Florence excommunicated.
The whole
Left
city?
left it in a state of insurrection.
Okay.
The Longfellow
What?
note says within 3 years, in fact, in 1302, the white faction will fall as the blacks return to the city through the treachery of Pope Boniface VIII, who currently
Mhm.
takes no action to help the city.
Mhm.
All three line conducting verbs in this terza are drawn from the action of scales. One tray goes down while another comes up, while Boniface hangs in the balance. Yeah, okay.
Do you know what I was reminded of? Isn't there a place in hell for people who sit on the fence? And
Yes.
in the
The very
last,
beginning. The very beginning.
oh, this is the very beginning. Okay.
I think we're going to find Boniface in hell.
We're
when
going
we
to
get-
find Boniface way down in the bottom.
Yeah.
He gets.
You know, he hasn't quite made it yet, but he's going to be going down the tube because the guy who's currently at the top of the tube says, "Is that you, Boniface? I hadn't expected you so soon." Oh, Dante, I mean, this is just so brilliant. It's just, I mean, it's just so you thinking, why didn't I think of that? Yeah, Dante, he can't put him in hell because Boniface isn't dead at that time, but he makes it darn clear that there's a place waiting for him.
But at the time, the Italy was not a country, and there were the state, the papal states, and the north of Italy was dominated by the Holy Roman Empire. And part of the people of Florence was against the Pope and in favor of the emperor of the Holy Empire. So they have these Guelfos and Ghibellinos. And there are factions of these parties. One were the whites, and other were the blacks. And so they were still always fighting one against the other. And Dante was related to one of these parties. I don't remember what, the whites or the blacks.
Wasn't
The losing party.
And he was exiled because of this. He was exiled and went to live in Ravenna, where he died.
weren't the whites also split in two? Like it gets even more complicated. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were fighting, they one against the other, the parties of the.
And within the party.
Yeah. It's pretty crude, but it was one time explained to me that it was a little like the Hatfields and the McCoys. If you know that history, there were lots of small little groups, and they were constantly fighting with each other about something. Yeah. So I want to point out the expression within 3 suns, which in this case means 3 years.
This is
This is on line 69.
Which line, Duncan?
68. With
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
60, yeah. Then afterwards behooves it this one fall within 3 suns and rise again the other, by force of him who now is on the coast. So Boniface get often, and he's going to support one of the sides.
Yeah, this is
and
a
they're going
reference
to take
to Boniface VIII, the Pope.
And then the winner, if we look at line 70, the winner, high will it hold its forehead a long while, keeping the other under heavy burdens, howe'er it weeps thereat and is indignant.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Dante is exiled.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize a while ago that I was muted and I was chatting away to you, but I'd been getting no response.
Okay.
But you were asking about the Guelphs. There was used to, initially there was the Guelphs and the Ghibellines, and I can't remember what war it was, but the Ghibellines were wiped out, and then the Guelphs became the white and the black. It started off infighting because of a marriage that was cancelled, an engagement that was cancelled, and then the whites, one said, I think one went with the Pope and one thought that they should be separate. And that's where that all came from. So, I was chatting away to myself.
Probably speaking
Yeah, the long note in,
but I do believe
in Longfellow, the long note that is in the Longfellow kind of helps explain this. It's quite a long note, several pages long.
Okay, can you summarize, or should we just read it ourselves later?
I can't. I haven't got my thoughts organized enough. Maybe I'll try to remember to do homework.
My understanding that there's still a lot of factionalism within Florence, and that this history still has an influence.
We are in the 3rd circle, going to the 4th circle. Is the theme is the gluttony.
Yep. The gluttons.
Gluttons. In the entrance of the hell, there is Cerberus, the dog with 3 heads.
Mhm.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's a kind of symbol of gluttony,
Yeah,
3 mouths.
3 mouths.
Okay. Can anybody
And then
explain?
74 or 5. The just are 2, not understood there. And 1, the notes say, is probably Cavalcante, who is Dante's friend, and the other isn't named, isn't named in the Commedia as far as the notes supply.
Okay. Who's the next reader?
Andy.
Excuse me, just before we go on with reading, I wanted to make a comment about the statement that Chiaco will have a chance at redemption at the last judgment. The canto closes with that. I thought once they went to hell, that was it. That you had to have redemption in your heart by the moment of death.
That's correct.
I never got the impression that was saying that Giaco had a chance of redemption. My impression was that it's just the final sentence. There's a judgment, and that they will judge him, and you know, basically he will learn that he's probably in the Inferno forever, and that at that point his punishment will become even more dire, because he will understand that he lost his chance at paradise.
Yeah,
That's my
what
interpretation.
I know. That's what I always thought too, but just in our reading today, it comes up differently.
Oh, really? Where did you get that idea?
Well,
What
just
line?
the ending. Let's see.
I think you said something about it last week or the week before, Duncan, that there was an impression that you got, maybe not from this canto, but that that it was Dante's belief somehow that these people in hell are not necessarily there for eternity.
I think that was actually a personal opinion of mine,
Okay.
which may or may not be in line with what Dante was thinking.
Okay. I just it was
Although
interesting.
there are a few things, the man in the Indus, and there's a few things along the way of the Commedia where Dante implies that being consigned to a certain level doesn't mean that's forever.
Well, yeah, okay.
Well, I was just
I guess line 103.
Okay.
It suggests that, wherefore I said, Master, these torments here, will they increase after the mighty sentence, or lesser be, or will they be as burning? So it's like the punishment. It's speaking more about the punishment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It sounds to me like it's going to get worse. Before,
Yeah.
it's not ever going to get better from this thing. I think, Anna, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to mention, though, that just so happens that some of a member from a person at church that I meditate with shared with me a speech that was given at the Minneapolis. It was a Russian Orthodox, like one of the leaders of the Russian Orthodox Church, a high church official, high church person. And he gave a talk about about hell, the views of hell of the Eastern and Western churches. And his view is he said that the Eastern Church takes the view that basically that hell is not for eternity necessarily, unlike the Western Church. And he was left with that. It was rather interesting. And he also talked about a little bit about that issue about the different levels of hell that I asked about last week or so, and it sounds like that the scholars, you might say, the scholastic scholars had settled upon. I think Thomas Aquinas settled upon there basically 4 regions of hell, maybe 5 regions of hell, and that was it. I mean, it's like limbo, purgatory, and I forget, maybe there was some like edge of hell or something like that, and then this hell itself. And so there was, and so that was pretty much it. So I think the answer to my question is that Dante really came up with his own kind of scheme here for his Inferno, just to talk about these different individuals and to organize all that, to organize that sort of his way of his I don't know his I don't know what you'd call it, your eschatology of sinners or something like that.
There's a note in Sayers about that souls being made more perfect. It's a reference to line 106. The philosophy of Aristotle, as incorporated in the theology of Aquinas, the souls will be more perfect after the last judgment because they will then be reunited to their bodies. So this is before the last judgment, what we're looking at now.
Yeah, right.
Right.
But she seems to think then that there is some lessening of the punishment, or
Well,
But
that's
I
not
like
my
that from
understanding. Yeah,
right,
that would be
except
my understanding of Catholic teaching then, but
no, but in line 108, and it says the more it feels of pleasure and of pain. So
yeah.
the people that will be up in paradise, when they be reunited with their body, they will feel more love and pleasure, while the people in hell will feel more pain when they're reunited with their bodies.
And that's what Mark Musso's saying as well.
Is it?
Yeah.
It makes sense because in the Inferno, the souls are blaming others for their sins, and
Right.
they get. Pardon me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then if they realize that it's their own fault, maybe then their suffering will lessen at the last judgment.
Well, when we get to purgatory, we'll find out that's exactly what happens to the people in purgatory, because we're going to visit all of these same groups again, but in purgatory, and
Yeah.
they will feel pain, but they won't be suffering, because they repented and they are trying to make up for their past sins, and so they have a promise of going to heaven eventually, as opposed to these people who are not repentant, and they are blaming others for their condition, and that's actually what keeps them in the Inferno. And
That's why they're
the
there in
thing
the
that I
first
was
place,
talking
don't
about, that's why they're there in the first place. But I personally, and this is a personal opinion, think that there's some tiny little chance that some of the people like Chiaco will go, God, this really sucks. I wish I had been a better person when I was alive. And just that realization in its can transport him to purgatory.
But once the souls are in the Inferno, they never go out of the Inferno. They can go out of the purgatory. In the purgatory, there is
right. I understand.
In the purgatory, there is a soul. They encounter a
Mhm.
soul that is there since the time of Jesus Christ. So this soul is there for 1,300 years. So now this soul is going to the heavens. So from the Inferno, forget about. You
I
never
understand. Yeah,
thought of it.
I understand that as the general tone of the poem. I just personally want to keep a little spark of hope alive for those
Yeah,
people in the Inferno.
Hopeless.
That's all.
yeah, I'm trying to
I know.
remember.
Yeah, I know
There
that's
is
the
a
idea that
phrase.
it's hope.
Siamo arrivati alla fine della giornata. Lasciate ogni speranza o voi che entrate. Leave all the hope who enters here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Abandon
at the beginning.
But you know, I'm trying to remember, and I think we did encounter some Inferno residents who ended up in purgatory. I'm not sure. Rereading is
Okay.
necessary.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I think
If you
so.
find one, let me know. Let me know, Sheila.
I'll yell.
Because I like. Okay. Okay.
Once in Inferno, you are done.
I'm not sure you're right. We have to
Well,
read
the
again.
door, well, the
We
door
could-
says abandon all hope.
I hope.
It does. It does. We could have a bet.
Abandon all hope.
That's what
here.
it says.
Yeah, I know that's a general tenor. I'm just being stubborn.
I just like to revisit your point about the people in hell blaming other people. And would it be fair to say that it's a general rule but not universal? Because, for instance, Chaco, does he blame other people? And the reason I ask is, as a bit of a trencher man myself, I would find it hard to blame gluttony on someone else, right? That seems it seems something that you kind of either do or you don't on your own. I mean, you're not force fed. So I just want to go back to my point. I'm wondering if it's a general rule that they blame other people, but not universal.
I think it's general and not universal. I think we come in the lower levels to characters that are more blaming and not taking responsibility. I think Chiaco actually does realize he shouldn't have done that.
But he's not blaming other people. It's a self-pity.
Yeah.
At least in my mind, there's two things. One is a tendency to blame other people, and the other one is just a stubbornness in saying that I did nothing wrong.
No, I don't.
And he knows it's his sin. He says that you were wont to call me Chiaco for the pernicious sin of gluttony. So
What line are you at?
50.
Two.
54. Okay, you citizens were wont to call me Chiaco, which means pig, I think, for the
Yeah.
pernicious sin of gluttony. I, as thou seest, am battered by the rain, and I, sad soul, am not the only one. For all these suffer the like penalty for the like sin, and word no more spake he. Okay.
So he's not blaming anybody. He's just acknowledging
He's
that
just
that was the sin that brought him to hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then almost immediately it goes away. The focus moves away from Chiaco to the city of Florence.
Yeah.
The political situation there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The foretelling of a future for the city.
A foretelling of the future for the city, but also saying that actually there is a relationship between the Chiaco and the condition of Florence, that it is in the arrogance and avarice.
No, it's interesting. I think I just would point out that Chaco does he later on in this canto, he says, he turned his eyes askance, eyed me. Well, then he says, when thou return to the sweet world, I pray thee to the mind of others bring me. No more I tell thee, and no more I answer. It's almost like he's saying, please pray for me to get me out of this place. He doesn't say it, well, it's in so many words, it sounds what he's saying. It says, pity me and help me out.
Yeah, well, we're going to get a lot of that as we go through the Inferno. A lot of people who are asking Dante to remember them
Okay.
to their friends and relatives when he goes back.
Yeah.
Just to pick up a point you made a minute ago, Duncan, then are you suggesting that the sort of segue from Chaco to Florence is rather a logical one, because you move from, an appetite or hunger of the body to a sort of intellectual hunger for power? Was that your point?
Yeah, that was my point.
Okay.
So that there's a gluttonous aspect of political ambition. And that's usually what gets him, envy and arrogance. Okay, look at 74. Envy and arrogance and avarice are the three sparks that have all hearts enkindled.
All that are in hell.
No, in Florence.
In Florence? Okay.
Yeah.
I think they mean in Florence. That this is the political problem in Florence, is that
Yeah.
people are arrogant and
Okay.
have avarice. Okay, that's until those moral sins are solved, it's going to be in turmoil. Unless, and this is we'll find out later, Dante puts great hope in proper political power. So that's why, Boniface VIII, ends up in the lower pits of hell, because Boniface VIII could have used his political power to subdue the factionalism within Florence, and he didn't.
And Siaco just makes some forecasts about the political fighting in Florence. Justice.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Very good point.
I don't know, in line 11, 15, there is a reference to Pluto. Pluto was the king of the Inferno, but in Greek mythology, in the Christianity, Satan and other devils. No, and so I don't know why he make a reference to this Greek mythology here. Pluto.
Point, there we found Plutus, the great enemy. Was not Pluto Roman?
As far as I know, this
Hades is from the Greek, and Pluto from the Roman.
There's Pluto, the god of the underworld, and there's this Pluto, he's god of wealth. This Pluto's, and that's why he's here, because he's standing in front of Canto 7, the avarice and the pride.
Oh, okay. So this is not. This is.
No, yeah. There's Pluto and Plutus.
Okay, Pluto and Plutus. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, he's just a devil here. No? He's not the king.
Okay, yeah, and
he's just one of the devils. There are many. He nominates many devils in the following cantos, and maybe it's just one of the devils. No?
Okay, but
in
I
Greek
think
mythology is
right.
Hades, right? Hades. We have it in Ulysses, Hades. No?
Yep.
The episode Hades.
Pluto is both Greek and Roman. That alternate for Hades shows up in Greek as well. And Plutus Plutus, is, I'm pretty sure, only Roman, and that's a different person. That's the personification of wealth.
Yeah, that's the
Wealth.
classical god of wealth, is
Yeah.
Plutus.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence that their names are.
So we're
Yeah.
going to go from gluttony to avarice, right? Is that what's happening in the next canto? Is avarice?
Avarice and prodigal, yeah. They're
Because,
the two that,
You know,
yeah, they're
it's,
going up the
think-
hill.
it's
I
really
think
interesting
Longfellow,
Yeah.
about
go ahead.
Pluto and Plautus. And I think as I read in Berolini, it's how the scholars, the commentators disagree themselves with what's going on. But in Sayers, she has Pluto being the god of riches and of the underworld.
And of
And
the
I think,
underworld?
yeah, and I think that it's again it's ambiguity that we're coming up against and trying to figure out what's going on. But since the experts disagree, I'd be surprised if we all saw it. We had the same impression.
Pluto and Proserpine.
Proserpine.
Yeah.
His wife.
Hmm.
And I wasn't Plautus, Plautus or Plutus, some kind of philosopher?
That's probably somebody else again.
There was a Roman playwright whose name was Plautus, Plaus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
T-U-S.
thank you.
And that's and he's not the only Roman who bore that name, but I think we have Plutus here, the god of wealth, not Pluto. I might be wrong about this,
But
Yeah,
but I
Pluto.
think,
Sayers disagrees with you. That's what I'm telling you.
yeah, because I think, wouldn't the Italian be Plutone or Pluto?
That's what you have in the Italian.
You know, we will find out because it's saying that we're going to find Plutus in the next circle. So I would assume that when we get to Canto 7, that we will also receive more information about Plutus.
Yeah,
Of
that's what this Mark Musa is saying in the second line.
second line of Canto
Canto.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the same one.
Mhm.
I guess I could just turn my page here, couldn't I? Oh yeah, the Canto 7. This is one translation. Pape Santa Lepe, began Plutus with his clucking voice. So yeah, it goes from Plutus to Plutus.
But sorry, are we saying they're two different gods? There's Pluto and Plutus. No?
There
Yeah.
is Pluto,
Yeah.
yes. There Pluto is the classical god of the whole underworld. And Plutus is the classical god of wealth, money, gold.
And what's Decio say?
Yeah,
Yes.
I was consulting the Italian dictionary, and
Yeah.
Plutone is a god of the mythological figure of the Roman mythology, the Inferno. Plutone. This is Pluto. Plutone.
Has the god or the enemy being Pluto, And Longfellow has the enemy being Plutus. Looking at both books.
You know what, Dee Dee?
Yeah.
Longfellow and all these other translators are mortal.
Right.
Or
And there are errors Dante made that come up in Berolini.
This is a side note. Did you know that Longfellow translated the Commedia because of grieving during his grieving for his wife who died unexpectedly?
In a fire. I think it was in a fire in their home, wasn't it?
Really?
Oh.
Yes,
And
something like that.
Wow.
No,
And-
maybe I'm wrong. That could have been Emerson. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
so what period is Longfellow doing it?
Longfellow probably was
Um,
late 19th century.
Mhm.
Hmm.
do, do, do,
Anybody
do,
know?
do.
I would have to look it up when Longfellow was, but
Notes by this was translated with notes by Longfellow published in 1867.
Oh, good
Wow.
answer.
okay, a little earlier than I thought.
Mm.
1807 to 1882. I just looked up his dates.
Yeah.
And I think he was like his academic appointment allowed him to go to Italy. He lived in Italy for a while, like a couple of years.
Here we
Mm.
go.
Whereas
Longfellow over years. The last and somewhat diminished stage of Longfellow's career began in 1861 with the tragic death of his wife Fanny. In an accident on July 9th, 1861, at the Longfellow's Cambridge home, Fanny's gauzy clothing caught fire and she was
Okay.
enveloped in
oh,
flames. She died that day. Actually, this thing of dresses catching on fire, this was fairly common.
Not surprised.
Yeah, you know how women wore those big billowing skirts and all that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Fanny may have inadvertently ignited her dress with a candle she was using to melt sealing wax, or she may have stepped on a self-lighting match. In a futile effort to put the fire out, Longfellow burned his hands and face. He may have worn a beard. He may have worn the beard he subsequently grew that gave him the sage avuncular look. If I'm reading this correctly, it's saying that his face was burned, and maybe that's why he had the beard. I'm not sure, and I won't. I think that's all we need to know for now. But I think it's very interesting and sad. Um, that's the reason why he turned to Dante and did the translation.
Mhm.
Okay. Who's the next reader? I
gonna-
read. I think I was. Anne Doyle.
Are you going to do Italian?
No,
Where are we starting?
we're strictly doing English now.
no, but
Where? I should know that. I'm the one who was the last reader. I should know it.
we're only
I think it's at 76.
Perfect. Here ended he his tearful utterance, and I to him. I wish thee still to teach me and make a gift to me of further speech. Farinata and Tegiaggio, once so worthy, Jacopo, Rosticucci, Arrigo, and Mosca, and others who on good deeds set their thoughts. Say where they are, and cause that I may know them, for greater desire constrained me to learn, if heaven doth sweeten them, or hell Inferno. And he, there among the blacker souls, a different sin downweighs them to the bottom, if thou so far descendant, thou canst see them. But when thou art again, or that's when I finish here, so, because now he's asking to be remembered and back when he comes back down to earth. Do you want to stop there?
Mhm.
Why he actually talks
It's your
about these
choice.
people?
Yeah, let's stop. Yeah, let's start. Let's cover it before we go.
Okay.
Are we moving on?
Yeah,
Well,
you okay?
Could somebody pronounce the names, please?
you want to do that, Decio? Farinata?
Sorry.
I'm good with, but it's the others that and Arrigo
Yeah.
and Faust I'm fine, but the two others are a bit of a mystery to me.
Farinata Tegiao.
Kegiio. I don't know. How do you say that name? Teggiaio. Decio.
Tegiaio.
Tegiaio.
Gelio.
Tegiaio.
Tegiaio. Tegiaio.
Okay.
And the R word?
Sticucci.
Restocucci?
Rusticucci.
Rusticucci. Rusticucci.
Rusticucci.
Yeah.
So let me take a little thing. So we have Jacopo. Okay.
Jacopo.
Jacopo.
Yeah.
J
So that's
I.
a one.
Jacopo.
Jacopo
Jacopo.
Restucucci. So
Rusticucci.
please look at the Cucci part. You'll see that the first C there is just a Q. It's a K. But the second one, CI, is Chi. CHI.
Rusticucci.
Restucucci. Restucucci.
Rusticucci.
Restucucci. Okay.
But that whole thing of how C and CH work in Italian, how they're read, is a little trick that I learned early. That CH is almost always a K sound, K.
Yeah.
But C changes depending upon what vowel follows it. So when you have like at the end of Rastacucci, so that CI actually becomes a CHI.
CHI.
Rastacucci. So you got the first C is a K and the second CHI. Rastacucci.
Rusticucci.
I think it's really hard for English speakers to render those double consonants because with English words, we just treat the two consonants as if they were one. And it's hard to do it without exaggerating it. So I would end up saying something like rusticucci, which no Italian would put that much emphasis on.
Actually, no, they would know you're not Italian, John. That's true.
They would know I'm exaggerating it.
Yes, but they would know that you are
Trying.
you know a little something about how to say Italian. So, I'm not great at this, that double consonant thing, but in Japanese, there's a lot of that. So I know how to make that. I forget what it's called. It's called a stop. Restaku. It's kind of stop kuchi. Rostakuchi. So that's where actually, it's through my Japanese that became, like I say, I'm not great at any of this stuff, but I'm basically just trying to be communicative. So it's okay.
Well, I've been
Either
reading
you
I've
never
been
be mistaken for Italians.
okay. I've been reading Hollander about these characters you're trying to pronounce their names, and it's kind of interesting. He says if there are only two just Florentines in the city in 1300, in the good old days there seem to have been at least 5 men who made great effort to offer sustenance to goodness. The meaning of the tercet is clear enough. The problem arises because one of the 5 is never mentioned, or surely does not seem to be. His name was Arrigo. The other 4 are seen in hell. Farinata in Canto 10 among the heretics, and Teggh. Okay, he's among the he's among the Florentine homosexual politicians, the most positively presented sinners since those we met in limbo. And the only surprise here is that he is punished in Canto 28 for his treachery on the battlefield. But in Dante's mind is apparently considered, along with Farinata and the others named here, as among the powerful citizens of an earlier Florence, before the city became utterly dissolute, who maintained a proper civic concern.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So
think, go ahead.
I just some notes. Dante 6, which if you haven't gotten to look at that, I strongly recommend that you do. And then I recommend that when reading that have a tab open, the lab, so you have access to Hollander's notes. Because I know Anne uses I think there's 3 that regularly refer to Hollander's notes.
The Dartmouth program.
Yeah, dantelab.dartmouth.edu.
Are you at that end? Are you there?
Yeah.
Because in let's see what line it is. Oh. Line 96.
Okay.
When shall approach, this is the next judgment after the Inferno. When shall approach the hostile potentate? And Sayers says that refers to Christ, the hostile potentate.
And then Hollander is saying that the enemy is not Christ, who is no one's enemy, but damnation. Almost all understand that the podesta does indeed refer to Christ when he shall come in judgment. Dante refers to God as l'avversario d'ogni male, the adversary of all evil. But the theology is not reliable here. Divinity, it is true, is not the enemy of the living, but loves them all. The unrepentant sinners in hell are another matter.
So a lot of this is, we can't pin it down. Where did Anne go?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back.
Shall we finish 6 anyway? Finish reading it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to look at line 84, where Dante says he wants to know if they're in heaven or if they're in hell. And he seems like I guess he knows that they're all in some sense sinners, because he knew some of them, or at least knew of them. But it seems like he's wondering here, does the good that they did outweigh their sins or not? Like that is, they've done, in his mind, a lot of good,
Or maybe
but
they
they
didn't
still might be in
repent.
hell
But maybe they didn't repent.
of their sins. Yeah, but I guess that's what he's wondering about, is the good that they did enough to outweigh the sins they committed? It seems
But
like he's
if,
not clear in his mind about that yet.
yeah, and if they didn't repent, then that's what got them to Inferno.
Yep.
So he doesn't know.
Well, Giaco seems to think that he's telling Dante that they've gone to another region further down in hell for different
Right.
sins, than gluttony.
Right.
So he's answered Dante's question, and Dante just wanted to know, well, I mean, I wonder, doesn't the fact that these men were, they had civic virtue anyway, and they were right-minded people apparently, but whatever sins they had, it wasn't enough to apparently that whatever sins they had, we don't know them yet, and they've been sent to hell too. So
Somewhere in these notes, they aired. It's somewhere. I looked at it before, but I don't know where it is now. They did some sinful decisions that outweighed, I guess, their virtuous.
So we'll meet Perinato and Tegiaio and Jacopo and Arrigo and Mosca somewhere down the line here, apparently, huh?
Probably. I bet. I can't remember.
Saving a regal. He doesn't turn up again.
No, he doesn't. Okay.
No.
Do you want to read to the end?
Yeah. So who's next?
I'm next.
Didi. You Didi.
I'm starting at 91. No more I tell thee, and no more I answer. Then his straightforward eyes he turned askance, eyed me a little, and then bowed his head. He fell therewith prone, like the other blind. And the guide said to me, he wakes no more this side of the sound of the angelic trumpet, when shall approach the hostile potentate. Each one shall find again his dismal tomb, shall reassume his flesh, and his own figure shall hear what through eternity re-echoes. So if someone could go on from there. Who's next? John.
So we passed onward o'er the filthy mixture of shadows and of rain, with footsteps slow, touching a little on the future life. Wherefore I said, Master, these torments here, will they increase after the mighty sentence, or lesser be, or will they be as burning? So I guess this is what we've talked about before. He's asking whether things get any better for them. He doesn't anticipate there being worse, but he anticipates them either being the same or being less.
Yeah. No. So he's asking a question here, And I guess I wasn't clear from the previous discussion about the guide said to me, he wakes no more this side, the sound of the angelic trumpet, when shall approach the hostile potentate. Each one shall find again his dismal tomb, shall reassume his flesh, and his own figure shall hear what through eternity re-echoes. So that sounds like each one shall find his dismal tomb is going to be reunited with the body, it sounds like. And who is the hostile potentate? Is there some disagreement about that? Is that?
Well, that's what we just said. It's assumed that the potentate is Christ, but he's not a hostile person.
Yeah.
Unless you're in hell.
Unless you're in hell.
Yeah, and begging.
Well, this side, the sound of the angelic trumpet. So, well,
sorry, in mine, it's line 96 we're talking about.
Yeah.
And they call him the unfriendly judge shall come down here. This guy goes further. Oh, Duncan has disappeared.
Yeah. He has, yeah. He's saying that his connection was unstable at the very start.
Yeah. So
he tried to reconnect a few times.
So just before we move on to conclude here, I've always found this doctrine of getting reunited with your fleshly body interesting. My question is, like, if I come back and get reunited, do I have to take this 66-year-old body, or could I have my 19-year-old body?
That's a very good question. Dante didn't deal with that one.
Oh, and I as I say, I would just as soon not traipse through eternity with my 66-year-old self if I could have a 19-year-old.
It depends upon how virtuous you were,
I think that there's some answers to that in some of the letters of Paul. I forget which ones, but he sort of alludes that, and there's something about, there's in the Gospels and Christ and some of the Pharisees ask him, or some of the Jewish leaders ask him, well, what about this man who's this person was married 7 times? Well, this woman, will she be a wife, or will she be married to one of these guys again, or whatever? And Christ says, no, he just we're all going to be individual bodies, like sort of purified bodies or something like that. And I think Paul says something like that too in one of these letters. I'll see if I can run that down, but yeah, I don't think we're going to have these, at least scripturally, we're not going to have these aging, deteriorating bodies in the afterlife. So at least if we go to the right place. So.
Thank God.
So we're on 106. 100.
So that would be Sylvia reads next, I think, then.
Yeah. And remember your philosophy. The closer a thing comes to perfection, more keen will be its pleasure or its pain. Although this cursed race of punished souls shall never know the joy of true perfection, more perfect will their pain be then than now. We circle round that curving road while talking of more than I shall mention at this time, and came to where the ledge begins descending. There we found Plutus, mankind's arch enemy. Oh, what has it got? What have you got about this joy of true perfection, more perfect than their pain be then and now? What have you got in other translations?
Is because the Catholic philosophy follows Aristotle, and This is a saying about Aristotle. And if you are more skilled or more educated, you suffer more. You will suffer more in the Inferno. It depends on your knowledge,
Ah,
something like that. So you suffer more if you are more skilled or more intelligent, more prepared.
and I seem to think in Catholicism as well that if you know about God and religion, then you're judged heavier or something. Does that resonate with anybody else? Whereas if you don't know,
You're judged more if you actually know.
yeah,
More, if you know more.
yeah,
I think that's sort of a Christian doctrine too. I think that there's something about the teachers, the people who are the teachers are the ones who, if they fall away, they will be judged more harshly.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's actually as we descend that the characters lower down, that's true of them.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Okay.
There's a lot of food for thought in this.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
endlessly interesting. I love the way Canto 7 begins. Papa Satan, Aleppi, whatever that is.
What's a lepe, anyhow?
I don't know.
Is that anything, John?
No.
Well, it's here in the notes somewhere, probably.
No, I don't think I don't think it means anything or nothing we can recover.
And even in the notes here, that's what Sayers says, exactly what you just said.
But Aleppi has been connected to Alpha, the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, either meaning prime or used as an expression of grief. Does anybody relate to that?
See, it sounds to me, just for context, maybe somebody who knows the Italian better can say something about the first thing, because this is Plutus speaking with a clucking voice is how it's translated. It's a la voce cioccia. That whatever that how that would be translated. Is he's clucking? Is he, if it's Alepe, maybe he's saying, he's is Papa Satan. It's like Father Satan would be. The first of everything, or is he clucking with his? Is he saying something? Is he mocking him or some way?
I think the Pape is maybe representing a stylized Latin exclamation, which is
Okay.
Dapae, papai.
Okay.
So I don't think
It's not
I
father.
think it's just coincidental that it looks like it's related to
Sorry,
father.
friends, I have to leave. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. See you,
See you
Dancio.
next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Should we
think
start-
it's just
should
an
we start-
exclamation. But I don't know that nothing I've seen has firmly established what this line means.
Okay.
Our homework.
It seems like if Sayers gave up, we may not find it either.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to get moving too.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's
See you next week.
it's
So
probably
should we end here? Okay.
yeah, it's
See everyone
probably
next
a good point.
Thanks, everyone.
Yes,
Thank you.
thanks.
you.
That was great. Thank you.
It was brilliant.
Mm.
Really good.
Likewise, yeah. See you.
Great. Night, night.
Bye.
Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
I had that.